My name is Jamie Levesque, and I'm 26 years old. If someone had told me a few years ago that the greatest source of chaos in my life would come from my boyfriend's family, specifically his sister, I would have laughed. But now, looking back, the signs were always there, quietly flickering like little warning lights I didn't yet know how to read. I met Max Nguyen when we shared an elevator in our office complex. He worked on the second floor, I worked on the seventh, and for months we exchanged those small, polite smiles people do when they recognize each other but aren't ready to speak. That changed during a birthday party for a mutual friend. He brought me a cup of strawberry punch and said he liked my laugh. I told him I liked how he always held the elevator door open for strangers. It's funny, the small things that tell you someone has a good heart. But long before I came into his life, that heart had been cracked in the ugliest ways by the people who were supposed to protect it. Max is the older child in his family. 3 years after he was born, his parents had a little girl, their perfect little girl, Olivia. If there was ever a walking, talking textbook example of a golden child, she was it. Straight A student, math genius, top of every class, awarded and applauded. And Max was different. Not less intelligent, just different. He thrived in sports, strategy games, and engineering puzzles. He was the kid who would build elaborate Lego bridges at 5 a.m. or teach himself Rubik's Cubes without tutorials. But his parents weren't impressed. They didn't care if he played varsity soccer or won chess tournaments. They cared about grades, the kind you framed. Max once told me that when he brought home a B on a math exam, his mom didn't speak to him for 2 days. Olivia brought home an A+ the week after, and they threw her a celebration dinner. When birthdays rolled around, they'd tell Max, "Study harder if you want a party next year." But they'd spend hundreds on Olivia's themed birthdays, princess cakes, full decor, even a hired photographer one year. Listening to him share these memories, his voice quiet, his shoulders hunched, still makes my stomach twist. There are moments when he stops mid-sentence as if physically pulling himself out of an old wound he no longer wants to reopen. By the time Max reached college age, the favoritism had become a full-blown pattern. His parents announced they couldn't pay tuition for both children, so they chose the one who had more potential. They told Max to take out loans, get scholarships, figure it out. They even said, "Olivia deserves this. You're not the academic one." After a horrible, screaming fight, Max packed his things and moved out. His parents didn't help him. They didn't see him off. They didn't call to ask if he arrived safely. He told me that was the moment something inside him snapped. Not in an angry way, but in a heartbreaking realization that he would never be enough for them. That day, Max decided to go low contact. And aside from bare minimum conversation, he kept it that way for years. My background couldn't have been more different. I grew up an only child with 2 wildly supportive parents, both professors, who valued exploration over perfection. If I wanted to learn pottery one month, piano the next, they were all for it. No comparisons, no pressure, no cold shoulders. So when I met Max, everything about him felt like the soft opposite of the academic world I'd grown up with. He was funny, grounded, incredibly observant, and genuinely kind. He left little notes on my desk, brought me tea during my late-night design deadlines, cleaned the apartment before I got home from work because he knew clutter stressed me out. He once bought me my favorite chocolate cheesecake because I said offhandedly that my cycle cramps were killing me. I hadn't even asked. We moved in together after a year. It felt easy, natural, like slipping into a life that had been waiting for me. The first time he told me he wanted me to meet his parents, I could tell he was nervous. His hands wouldn't stay still, and he joked 3 times about his family being a circus act where nobody wants to admit they're the clown. When I finally met them, they were warm, surprisingly warm. His mother complimented my academic background. His father asked questions about my work. They apologized to Max for the distance, which stunned him. But the moment Olivia walked in, the entire atmosphere shifted. She hugged me politely, but it felt wrong. Calculated. Then she ignored her own brother. Not politely, she acted like Max wasn't even in the room. And when Max's parents began praising my career, Olivia's smile faded. Her eyes sharpened, curious, jealous, irritated, like someone had taken her spotlight without permission. She asked me what urban planners actually do. I explained. She smirked and said, "So you murder trees for a living?" I nearly choked on my water. She disagreed with everything I said that afternoon. Everything. From city design to soup recipes. Soup recipes. But the real turning point was when the check arrived. Max offered to pay. His parents insisted on treating us. Then, out of nowhere, Olivia snapped loudly. I should pay, since I'm the reason everyone's here. Besides, she probably earns enough to cover this whole restaurant anyway. Her eyes flicked across me like she was trying to peel off my confidence layer by layer. Her parents immediately reprimanded her. She stormed out muttering something about fake intellectuals. I should have taken that day as the giant neon-lit warning that it was. But I convinced myself that people have bad days, that families are complicated, that Olivia might just need time to adjust to someone new in her brother's life. Except she didn't want to adjust. She wanted to compete. Over the next few months, she grew obsessed with my social media. She never followed me, never liked anything, but she viewed every single story within seconds. Silent, watching, calculating. Then one day, she dug up an 8-year-old Facebook photo of me hugging my high school boyfriend and posted the link in the family group chat. Is this you? Weirdly polite, almost innocent. I admitted it was me. Before I could explain, she said, You should tell him to delete it. It's inappropriate for your current situation. Max was furious. He defended me instantly. He told her she needed to stop acting like a teenager with a crush and mind her business. He said I earned 4 times her salary. That one line? It detonated whatever fragile sense of superiority Olivia had left. She exploded, left the group chat, called Max screaming, accusing him of humiliating her. His parents apologized to me again, awkward, embarrassed, caught in the crossfire of a daughter who had never been told no. For a few blessed months, she vanished. And then, we found out she had eloped with an older man named Isaac, 15 years her senior, recently divorced, after an affair. It didn't fix her. It only sharpened her need to prove something. A few weeks later, I got a message from her. I know I wasn't nice before. I want to make things right. Dinner this weekend? Max didn't trust it. I wanted to. A mistake I would soon regret. Because that dinner, that night, it was the beginning of the storm I had no idea was coming. The night we went to Olivia's place for dinner, I remember telling myself to breathe, to be patient, to give her a chance. Maybe marriage had softened her. Maybe she had finally grown up. Maybe she genuinely wanted to repair things with me and Max. But the moment she opened the door, I saw it, the gleam in her eyes, not warm, not apologetic, triumphant. Her husband, Isaac, greeted us politely. He was older, composed, and had that polished businessman charm, the kind that came with expensive watches and a quiet confidence. Their house was painfully modern, filled with expensive art pieces and smart home devices that didn't fit Olivia's personality at all. While the men drifted to Isaac's collectible shelf, Olivia pulled me aside into the kitchen. She began with an apology, sweet, rehearsed, hollow. I've been reflecting. I know I treated you unfairly. Being with Isaac made me realize how immature I was. I smiled politely. I wanted peace, not war. If she wanted to start fresh, fine. I was willing to meet her halfway. But then she continued. I think I hated you because Max changed after meeting you. You made him confident. You made him distant from us. I blinked. Was she really blaming me for Max distancing himself from the family that neglected him? But again, I let it go. Then she started bragging. Not subtle bragging. Olympic-level gloating. How Isaac was wealthy, how she'd never need to work again, how they were looking at islands for vacation homes, how life was finally fair. I let her talk. I figured she needed the validation. But then she shifted the conversation abruptly. So, when are you making Max propose? I laughed. Max and I are taking our time. We're not in a rush. Olivia scoffed loudly. That's stupid. You're 26, Jamie. Women don't have unlimited years for fertility. Push him, or you'll regret it. Her tone was sharp, almost accusatory. I replied gently but firmly. Max and I don't want kids. Her face twisted as if I'd told her I drowned puppies for fun. Excuse me? Then why are you even with him? You're ruining his bloodline. I froze. The room tilted. Olivia, that's none of your... She cut me off, yelling, Max, come here right now. Max rushed in with Isaac behind him. She pointed at me dramatically. Did you know she refuses to give you children? What kind of woman doesn't want a family? Max stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Olivia, what the hell are you talking about? She kept going, louder, angrier. She's tricking you. You deserve better. Mom and Dad will never approve of this. Max snapped. Don't you dare bring Mom and Dad into this. And don't you dare talk to Jamie like that. But she pushed harder. She doesn't respect our culture. Max cut her off. Enough, we're leaving. Isaac apologized quietly, looking mortified. Olivia just stood there, trembling with rage. When we got into the car, I didn't make it 3 minutes before I burst into tears. Everything she'd said, about children, about Max, about my worth, felt like daggers. Max held my hand tightly. Jamie, I don't want kids, never have. You know that. Don't let her poison get in your head. But some part of me wondered if he meant it. Not because he lied, but because Olivia had thrown acid on a wound I didn't know I had. We didn't speak about her again for weeks. I blocked her everywhere. Max kept minimal contact with his parents. The wedding planning began. My parents were over the moon. His parents were excited too, but Olivia's name hung over every conversation like a gray cloud. Then one night, something happened that changed everything. The day everything shifted, Max had a headache, so I went out grocery shopping alone. The first store didn't have what I needed, so I drove across town to another one. As I was passing a little cafe in the shopping complex, I saw something that made me freeze. Olivia. Not alone, not with Isaac. With a man her age, brown hair, handsome, laughing, kissing her hands, leaning into her like they were teenagers in love. I stood there in disbelief. My throat tightened, my pulse hammered. I stepped behind a column, my heart pounding. This couldn't be happening. She kissed him, full kiss, no hesitation. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. I took a picture, another, and another. I didn't want to, but I needed proof. She didn't even notice me. She was too busy playing love-struck teenager. I walked away quickly, groceries forgotten. When I got home, Max saw my face and immediately said, Jamie, what happened? I told him everything, showed him the photos. His eyes widened. Then he whispered, That's not Isaac. He asked me 3 times if I was sure. I nodded each time. There was no doubt. He paced for a full minute before saying, I need to talk to Isaac. He deserves to know. My stomach twisted. Are you sure? Olivia will lose her mind. He shook his head. This isn't about Olivia. It's about the truth. The truth that blew up everything. Max met Isaac the next day. Isaac was devastated, shocked, already suspicious. He admitted Olivia had been acting strange for weeks. Then he said the words that made my blood run cold. She's pregnant. Pregnant. And from his expression, he clearly wasn't sure the child was his. Max showed him the photos. Isaac stared at them silently before whispering, She'll destroy herself. He asked us not to tell Olivia yet. He wanted to confront her his own way. We agreed, and stayed out of it. For a while. Wedding week. Every time Max's phone buzzed, I flinched, half expecting Olivia to explode. She didn't. Silence. Too much silence. Then his parents pushed us. Invite Olivia. She's family. It'll look bad if she's not there. Reluctantly, we agreed, but with one condition. She cannot cause drama. Not at our wedding. Not again. They promised they'd talk to her, that she'd behave, that things would be fine. Things were not fine. Wedding day. The calm before the storm. The ceremony was beautiful. Max cried reading his vows. I cried too. For one moment, everything felt perfect. Then came the reception. My parents gave a touching speech. Max's father began speaking. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw Olivia moving. She was making her way toward the microphone. No, no, no. I had already warned my bridesmaids. If Olivia touched the mic, the DJ would cut the sound immediately. She stepped up, tried to speak. Silence. Her lips moved, but nothing came out. She tapped the mic. Nothing. Max and I pretended not to notice. Then my maid of honor, Martha, gently took the mic from her hands. As soon as Martha held it, the mic turned back on. Olivia froze, her face twisted. She realized what we'd done. She began to shake. Then she exploded. How dare you silence me? I have an announcement. Guests stared, confused, alarmed. She climbed onto her chair like a deranged town crier and screamed, I'm pregnant, and I wanted to share this with everyone. Silence. Dead, uncomfortable silence. Her parents whispered frantically, Sit down. Stop. Not here. Please not here. But Olivia looked directly at me, eyes blazing. Are you happy now, Jamie? This is what you wanted. You ruined my family. Before Max could respond, Isaac stood, took the microphone, and everything changed. If silence could scream, the room would have shattered. Isaac stood there, holding the microphone with both hands, his knuckles bone white. His eyes weren't angry. They were empty, like a man who had already mourned something long before this moment. He turned first to me and Max. I'm sorry for this. Your wedding should never have been tainted by someone else's selfishness. His voice echoed through the hall. Guests leaned forward, sensing something colossal was about to unfold. Then he looked at Olivia, who was still wobbling on the chair, chest heaving, expecting applause that never came. What you said is true, Isaac continued. You are pregnant. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Olivia lifted her chin, triumphant. But Isaac wasn't finished. But I'm not the father. The air snapped like a wire pulled too tight. Gasps erupted. Someone dropped their fork. Even the DJ paused the music out of instinct. Olivia's face drained of color. What? What are you talking about? She whispered. Isaac lifted his phone, not toward her, but toward her parents. I hired a private investigator. Here are the photos. He slid the phone into their hands. Max's parents recoiled as if the images burned them. Her mother covered her mouth. Her father set the phone down quickly, like it carried acid. Whispers spread through the hall faster than wildfire. Olivia jumped down from the chair, stumbling, grabbing the tablecloth for balance. You're lying, she choked. You're twisting everything. She pointed at me with a trembling finger. She put you up to this. Isaac didn't even look at me. I found out myself. I noticed your behavior, your late nights, your secrecy. He inhaled sharply, the pain visible. And when I saw the test results showing the due date didn't match our timeline, I knew. Olivia collapsed into her chair, sobbing without sound. Max stepped forward then, voice low and shaking with a calm I'd never seen in him. Get out! She looked up, stunned. Max! Get out of our wedding. His tone didn't rise, but it cut deeper than any scream could have. You humiliated Jamie. You humiliated our family. You've lied, manipulated, cheated, and acted like a tyrant since day one. We're done. Olivia's tears turned frantic. You're choosing her over me? I'm your sister. Max didn't blink. I'm choosing sanity over your chaos. She grabbed her purse, her makeup streaking down her cheeks, and stumbled toward the exit. Isaac didn't follow her. He simply sighed, handed me the mic, and said softly, I hope the rest of your marriage is peaceful. Then he walked back to his table, sat down, and put his head in his hands. The wedding went on, but it never recovered. Guests whispered. Tables buzzed with what they'd witnessed. Some people stared at me with sympathy. Others stared at Olivia's empty chair. I kept smiling until my cheeks hurt, until my lungs ached, until Max squeezed my hand under the table and whispered, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The aftermath. The morning after the wedding, my inbox was flooded. Emails. Dozens. All from random throwaway accounts. But the writing style, the punctuation, the fury, it was unmistakably Olivia. I hope you rot. I'll make you regret this. You think you won? You took everything from me. You ruined my life. I'll ruin yours. They got darker, more unhinged, more threatening. I forwarded every single one to Max. He pulled me into his arms. She can't touch you. She did this to herself. I wanted to believe him. But there's something terrifying about a person who has lost everything and believes it's your fault. Update 1 week later. Isaac filed for divorce. He told Max privately that Olivia broke down and admitted everything. Admitted the affair. Admitted the pregnancy wasn't his. Admitted she'd been bored in her marriage. Bored. She asked Isaac to let her keep one of his cars as a farewell gift. He refused. She sobbed. He walked away. We thought it would end there. Update 2 weeks later. Max and I returned from our honeymoon and sat down with his parents. His mother looked like she'd aged 10 years. She was trembling when she said, We are ashamed. We didn't raise her to be like this. We don't know who she is anymore. Then came the words I wasn't prepared for. We cut her off. Olivia had shown up at their door begging to move back in. Begging for money. Begging for help now that her affair partner had vanished. They refused. They locked the door. And they cried afterward. Max told them that if they ever tried to force her back into our lives, he would cut them off too. His mom wept harder, saying, We choose you. We choose peace. For the first time since I met them, I believed they understood. Update 8 months later. Isaac finalized the divorce. He and Max actually grew close. They meet for video game nights sometimes. Isaac says Max is the only stable person who didn't lie to him through the whole ordeal. As for Olivia, no one knows where she is exactly. Not her parents, not Isaac, not the man she cheated with. She's pregnant, alone, and completely cut off from everyone she once manipulated. Part of me feels sorry for her. Part of me fears her. And a very small part of me, the part still healing from every cruel word she ever threw at me, feels relieved. Not because she suffered, but because she finally can't hurt us anymore. Final reflection. Sometimes peace isn't gained through forgiveness. Sometimes it's gained through distance, through saying no more, through refusing to let someone drown you just because they're family. Max and I rebuilt from the ashes of that wedding day. We protected our love, we protected each other, and we learned that boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. Doors you only open for the people who deserve to walk through them.